You ready? I'm going to call to order this October 14th meeting of the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee. And I think that, thank you, Ann, for your minutes. I know that I had a correction, and I believe that so did Patty.
It concerns my hearing.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Discussion.
No, I'm,
Everybody okay?
yep.
Okay, we'll do this informally. Update from Chief Schrock.
The call numbers that I put out for the month of September, we were sitting, I believe the number was 311. The only other thing I have to relay today, was that the city of Red Lodge, was approved and will be receiving the, COPS grant.
Oh, yay, for,
The school resource officer.
really?
Yep, so we were.
That covers what percentage of the salary, 50, or is it just
It covers 100%. Well, okay, so I'll say this, I'm hopeful. I just gotta wait for the government to open back up before I have a definitive answer on how much, but, it should, I can't say for sure, but, until it's opened back up, but, I'm hopeful in it being the full amount.
Which is what?
I believe it was 130,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I would love to take credit for the work, but I can't. I would say that all efforts for that grant, the person solely responsible for that is Danae Kern up front in City Hall. So if you guys, pass by in your passing bys, just make sure you congratulate her. I would really appreciate that. She worked, a lot on that for a very long time. So that's a big deal.
That's absolutely stupendous.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Now the question is, will the schools accept a school resource officer?
Oh, they signed a letter of support for the grant saying that they would love it. So I wouldn't
Good
see,
point.
I wouldn't see why not.
Well, I don't know, I vote for things just because, and then when the rubber hits the road, I say no, because, I mean, the money's involved.
Sure.
You support it, but yet you
Well,
are judicious.
that's why I was moving toward funding the entire position instead of a partial position. Yeah.
Yeah, they've expressed full support up till now, except for the part where it came to opening the checkbook.
Okay.
And then their plan was to upgrade their heater so their heating bills would be less, and then they could afford to support it.
And change their doorbells at the school.
Correct. All important stuff, however, that's why we moved towards the entire position being funded by a COPS grant, obviously for a certain amount of time, and then that discussion will follow on what percentage and where and who is responsible for what. I believe meeting in the middle somewhere is advantageous to both sides for sure.
So there's a little work to be done.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I would say that the biggest, most time-consuming step is out of the way, and again, thanks to Danae.
And then you had somebody in mind, a gal?
No, I had an officer in mind that was employed as a part-time patrol officer for the city. However, just time and financials and everything just dictated that he couldn't hang around and wait, so he transferred to the Bozeman Police Department.
So you'll be doing another search as soon as we know exactly what we have?
The position will be opened up internally, and if nobody shows interest, which there have been several officers that have voiced their interest on the position, some well-qualified guys, and if they bid it and go through an oral board and score high enough, they'll be selected for the position with some additional training, of course. And if nobody shows interest, then the position should be posted.
So we're probably looking at about a year from now between the government funding and finding a position.
I'm curious.
I'm not sure.
How did you come up with that number?
What, a year? Oh, a year?
As soon as they give us the money, it'll be.
Yeah, right, yeah, so that's my,
And then you've got the officer, and then you've got the training.
it's my goal to get it started ASAP, but also get it started in the correct manner too. So you don't want to rush into something head first and make mistakes. So we want to do it the right way, but we want to do it as quickly as possible.
It'll happen when it has to.
Correct.
Well, that's absolutely stunning. Now, wasn't there another grant for an additional police officer? We heard anything on that?
That was the grant, the
That
COPS
was
grant.
the main one. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Did everybody have a chance to pull the, call for service out of the city?
Yes.
It's a new format.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you wanna just take 30 seconds and explain the new format and why and
Sure.
how it's easier to?
Yeah, utilize your copy.
Absolutely.
It's
Okay.
in your
So-
packet. That's it. That's it.
The new format that our calls are on is a lot more efficient and streamlined, and it's a big time saver for me. The program that we use is our computer automated dispatch, where we do all of our reports and everything you see an officer doing on a computer. This is the system that we use. So what it does is, instead of me pulling the entire list of our calls and going in and manually plugging them into a Word document, with the assistance of some IT professionals in the other office, we have it to where our call totals are on a recurring, I guess, schedule, to where at the beginning of each month, the prior month's call stack is emailed to me. So I don't have to wait, I don't want to say waste, I don't have to dedicate 3.5 hours to going through the call list and manually putting it into a Word document. So I think 311, I was right. Yeah.
I know, I know a lot of this is private.
Mm-hmm. No, these
Find
are,
more details, especially on ordinance violations. There's 5. And I'd like to know which ordinance violations were violated, because we work hard on these ordinances, and I dare say that any of them are ever enforced.
mhm.
So if you could get a little more detail on ordinance violations,
There
I would
are,
appreciate that. There's
Sure.
5, that's all it says.
violation total of 5. Parking citizen contact total, parking traffic hazard debris. Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't think that's a privacy
Consensus
issue.
of council to
Understand.
just get that additional breakdown on the list of ordinances that are done.
'Cause I'd like to know which ones are working.
Well,
I would say that the most,
That'd be helpful.
yeah, I would say that the ordinance violations that we are seeing the most, I guess, citations out of would be parking.
Okay. Right
Um,
below it, it says parking 10. 10, you got 10,
Yeah, 10
calls for
parking complaints or
parking.
enforcement contacts. There's also,
Are these numbers mutually exclusive? Is there a possibility something shows up in 2 different columns?
these numbers are mutually exclusive. That's how the program runs it.
So, not too sorry, if you could please follow up and just let me know what those specific ordinances are, I will relay that onto council.
thank you.
Yes. Yep.
and I'm curious from the format, because under ordinance violation, then you have total 1, and then you have it again with total 5.
Mhm.
So why is it there twice in 2 different numbers?
Order, is order different than ordinance? Is that what you're looking at? The
Order violation total versus ordinance violation. Oh, I see.
Order
now.
violation total 1,
I was
ordinance
reading
violation.
it weird.
Yeah. Good call, because I didn't have an answer
Oh,
for that.
I was
Thank you.
like, I was like, I don't know what order is, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so that. is
Oh,
my-
maybe like a restraining order or something violation? Order violation?
You know what? I think you hit it on the head there.
Oh, dispatch.
I think you hit it on the head there.
Maybe.
Good job.
Just kidding.
Forgot.
That's right, yeah. TRO violations, those, you will see those pop up. We deal with those all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, this is helpful, thank you.
Yeah, thank
A
you.
little more detail that's not,
There's options for me to
private.
there's options for me to put it in a graph format too. I'm still working on that though, to show comparative numbers from, like, I'd say 2024 to 2025. It's a lot easier, but there's so many different, I guess, categories in the calls that we take, that a graph is incredible, like, it's super crowded.
A little thing.
Yeah.
Not really pages, but it's just the way the graph is, I guess. I'm not a tech guy, but it's very cramped and hard to read.
Out of curiosity, the gentleman that you were looking for, that you circulated the poster on,
Yes.
was he found?
No, we haven't closed that case as of yet. It's still actively being worked on. However, with that call, and I can talk about it now because it's an unrelated case, but we have apprehended a like individual for the same type of crime. I'm not certain that it is the gentleman that we were originally looking for. I believe it's a separate gentleman. However, similar crimes, similar MO, however, different guy. But with the call and I guess the uptick in enforcement and looking for stuff like that, we have apprehended a separate individual for similar crimes.
What does apprehend mean to you?
He was arrested and taken to jail.
Is he taken to, is he still at YCDF?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can stop barricading my door?
I'm not saying it's the same guy.
Good welcome notice.
I do not believe it is the same guy. However, he is now currently on probation. He's on parole. He's on a parole hold right now, and he won't be getting out anytime
Good
soon.
information, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you say where he was apprehended?
Park Avenue.
She's like, oh my God.
I could talk about it too. It's like I said, charges have been filed, so it is public information. There was a woman in Park Avenue just taking in the sights, doing her thing, looking at the creek, and saw something that she didn't feel was right and did the correct thing and reported it to dispatch. And dispatch immediately scrambled 2 of our cars to where we located the guy within the same area. And he was arrested on a slew of charges, including second offense felony stalking and drug possession. And couple parole violations. So he's a bad boy. Yep.
Wow.
Good.
So my hat's off to her.
Yeah.
I think I saw that arrest near Eagle's Nest, wasn't it? You can't say?
No, I can. It was Park Avenue, so I would say,
Park.
it was more,
Doesn't matter, I was just driving by.
it was further to the south on Park Avenue, closer to Highway 308 than it was, 19th Street. I think what you saw near the Eagle's Nest were, some task force officers utilizing the, building for, training scenarios. There was a lot of officers out there, doing some training before the building is taken care of.
Which is today, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
We're talking about Bastion.
Yeah.
The, Madam Chair, just a comment, as I'm listening to this conversation, I'm a little bit of consternation, a little concerned. I absolutely want to keep a free flow of information, and I'm good with council asking questions to help understand stuff, but I don't want this to devolve into a social media chat or a TV show or and so I would just ask council members as we kind of go forward to think it in terms, like I said, ask questions, anything that's direction in nature, please address to me so that I can relay that on, and act as a screen there, but just kind of, as we have these conversations, sometimes they sound like they're going down a Facebook chat format, and that's not what I'm going for in these meetings. As far as Bastion property, and I'll share this tonight, we didn't have to hide any bodies this weekend. Nobody objected. The notice to proceed is being issued today. They are doing the mitigation, stuff that you won't see, like moving and removing mercury thermometers. The fences go up Friday, the large equipment comes in Monday, and next Tuesday is boom pow.
Wow.
They have this is for my own personal curiosity, do they have a timeline on, like, start to finish?
I anticipate less than 2 weeks, and 1 week is a possibility.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm just curious in the, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning if somebody gets really curious, and you know what I mean?
They will have fences all the way around it
Great.
as of Friday, so that will no longer be an accidental infraction as of Friday.
I think it's well posted now, however, I have found people in there,
We've had people
looking
take
around.
down the yellow tape and then ask why they're getting glue off the skate park, so.
Great, okay. Mr. Mayor, you want to address the junkyards and nuisances?
I can do that if you'd like. We did have, or do you want to, you asked me to, I guess I'll do it.
Because it's more update that, I know the
So,
beginning.
there are a couple of very specific, nuisance properties within the city, that have exceeded to the point that they get into that public health and safety conversation. They're working with law enforcement and with the attorneys, that process has been begun. And by that process, they've sent out an initial letter, notifying them that there's a problem that needs to be addressed and giving them a time frame to resolve. Historically, we're not anticipating we're going to get a response out of that. The second step is to take that in front of a judge, and what will happen is not a condemnation or a eminent domain takeover of the property. It's rather get a judge order to basically tell the city to go ahead and take care of the portions of the nuisances that are in the right-of-ways and et cetera, and then put the charges for those on the taxes. And so that takes a judge's order to do that. It's a process that very likely will take a few months to play out, just because bureaucracy is not designed to be fast. It's designed to be fair, and make sure that everybody has due process and everything is publicly vetted. So those properties that have been identified and were basically started out being reported to dispatch, as Chief Schrock has mentioned on several occasions, and we've reiterated. And as the process goes in the time, that's kind of where we are. Is that what you were looking for in an update?
Yes, except that what you said was that then the judge would allow you to remove that which is in the public right-of-way, but also private property, correct?
I'll leave that to the judge. Those are all options. But basically, what we do is we look for a judge to say, you may address the problem and send them the bill. So, and generally, that's when you tend to get a response out of somebody, because then they have a little bit more control over the process.
One thing to keep in mind too is I had discussions with Denison and others about it too. We're aware that there are nuisance properties within the city limits of Red Lodge. It was brought to my attention. Thankfully, I was able to say that the case is actively being worked on. I've already had a sergeant looking at the properties for several weeks, coordinated with the prosecutor, sending out letters and everything. Fortunately, though, this is not something that is rare for state district court, so they have seen these orders before. So it's nothing that I would imagine being tied up for an exuberant amount of time, because it's something that, you know, courts deal with throughout the state of Montana and other states, obviously, too. It's very common. Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, I
Hannah?
do have a question. To a civilian, there's more than two. You said a couple. Someone said a couple. There's more than a couple. How do you determine what houses get reported?
So that's based on the call that we received, the officer going out, taking a look at the property, coordinating with the prosecutor. There are some that are, do some people have quite a bit of junk in their yard around Red Lodge? Yeah, absolutely. Is it in direct violation of city code and state law? Maybe, maybe not. However, there are residences where it's like, in your face, this is a problem. It has potential to spill out into alleyways, you know, running north to south, blocking entrances, stuff like that. Those are the ones that we take action on first.
So on these ones, what happened is the reports came in, an officer and the city prosecutor went out together and looked at the sites and basically said, we know how this turns out, and there's a clear, and so those are the ones that we've initiated.
In violation.
And the hope is that as we take care of some of those, that propagates and works its way out as well.
Okay. Moving on to tobacco-free parks, we do have an ordinance, which, the mayor has given us.
So I'll just share with you, Aaron Cross from Carbon County reached out, and the initial email is, would you have time the next couple of weeks to meet, review your tobacco-free parks policy, and share with you new changes to the Clean Indoor Act law that passed this last legislative action. Basically, the Clean Indoor Act now includes electronic smoking vaping devices as well as traditional cigarettes. So policies will need to be reviewed and updated to reflect the change. Let me know when it's a good time for you, and we'll make it happen. If it's easier, you may send your tobacco-free policies, and we can suggest edits to include, and we can do this in email instead of in person. I actually responded to her and sent her the two documents that you guys have in front, and basically said, the best thing to do is have you come to Public Health and Safety Those are the second and fourth Tuesdays at 8 a.m. I'm putting you on Tuesday the 14th. If you want to discuss before then, we can. And that was the last I followed up with her. So I followed up and said, you're not here, so I guess we'll do this at the future meeting. But that was the purpose of having this on there, some changes in the legislative. And those are the two things that I could find that we have in city ordinances.
And you said the state, law is for indoor vaping.
I did not say that. She just said that there were changes. Oh, Clean Indoor Act law that passed, so I would presume that Clean Indoor Act would be in place, yeah, okay? So I stand corrected, I did say that.
I listened while you read. So that doesn't necessarily mean parks.
I have my back, yeah.
Just for my notes, what position does Aaron Cross hold with the county?
Aaron is the Carbon County Public Health Director.
Public Health Director, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. Yep,
Thank you.
go do good stuff. Try it.
And I see according to, the ordinance, we've only included fields, school parks, state parks, and then anything relating to.
And that's what I was saying earlier, our ordinance only addresses certain parks, it doesn't cover all of our designated parks.
And maybe that would have been a simpler way to have put this, that is a city designated park.
That is council's purview, and
Because then when you add a park, it still works. Because we may be having, some new city designated parks.
yeah, so do you want it to apply to all, for instance, rodeo park?
Well, we have a sign at a dog park right now, and according to this, if you can't enforce it because it's not on the ordinance, even though we have a sign, that you can't enforce it, so I guess I suggest we add something.
Football, soccer, basketball.
Doesn't say dogs.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So maybe what you could do is say, all city parks unless designated otherwise, because that way you catch your envelope, but if you determine that there are some where it doesn't apply, you have the ability to address it. But I said, that's council's purview on what to do.
well, let's do that because, we have had a couple instances of smoking at the dog park that was irritating to the, the people, maybe the dogs, but they were,
Well, if there's no containers for the, for the stubs and all of that, it ends up on the ground, I have to assume.
yeah, it does.
People don't smoke and stick it in their pocket when they're done, or few do.
Well, if they didn't come in with cigarettes anyway, then it's moot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just look at that.
So we'll need to look at this,
Yeah.
ordinance. I'm not so fond of the fine structure, because it's 15 years old. First offense is $40, second offense $80, third offense $120. $40, I don't know how much
That's like
cigarettes
a
are,
whole
but
carton
that's.
of cigarettes.
I don't think so, not
No, I mean a
anymore.
box, no.
Yeah, it's like to them, that's nothing
So anyway, that's
Okay, well,
something to be requested to be
Yep.
put on council's agenda.
to look at. Correct.
So I anticipate that we'll see that on next week's too, and you guys will have some edits or put together.
Yep.
Yeah.
And do you guys want to discuss it? I mean, we're through the stuff on your thing. You guys can discuss now if you want, or what changes you think need to be made.
I like if you feel it would be appropriate, I like how all the little fines kind of go in sync with like the
The
first
100.
offense, I think it just simplifies things, but I don't know if it's strong enough in this case, if it pertains to all violations, but
Well, at least it
Keep it
gives
simple.
the police force with something. So at least, I think the first offense should be at least $100.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. What about you, Ann?
yeah, I'm more
Well, let's
concerned,
look
it's
this
just,
over.
let's list the city parks. There's like 15 of them or
Why
something.
not just
Or current and
use
future.
city designated?
Okay,
parks?
city designated,
Then if we add a new one,
okay,
then,
which I hope we will.
yeah. Because there are other parks, there's one over at Spires, that's a city designated park. A lot of people don't know that, and at the backside of fires ever gets done, I think that there was a requirement in that annexation agreement for another city park.
And I would say, and I think you, Ann, you're the council's designated person on the Parks Board. Probably this is a conversation that should go there and see if.
Yeah, our meeting is first Wednesday in November. I'll write Beth Graham and tell her about our conversation.
That would be
We
wonderful.
can discuss it at that meeting.
Yeah, because I keep thinking of all the, we were talking about having a sledding park, you know, so all of those should be tobacco-free. And then, also, I don't know about the vaping. I don't know. Yeah. So the state has passed an indoor vaping rule, but I don't know. So that's something else to think about.
Yeah, like smoking in any
And so on
form,
the fines,
tobacco use.
is your thinking kind of like, it's just 100 for each offense first and every subsequent?
I was thinking of like 100, 150, 200,
Okay.
or maybe 100 for each subsequent.
Yeah, what did we do for like the animal nuisance and the garbage?
I'd have to look it
Just
back
look
out.
that-
The
yeah,
garbage,
I'll
I
look
think
at-
my recollection is it's 100 for each and each
Each.
subsequent.
It was
So it's just the
Same
subsequent.
price.
it's the same fine over and over,
Okay,
but it hurts twice as much the second time and third time in particular if they're any close. Because then you're not, when does the counter reset? It doesn't matter at that point. Because if you go first, second, third, do we reset the clock at 6 months, at 3, at a year?
Or ever. Okay, well, since our agenda's pretty much done, would anybody like to, discuss another project in the audience? No?
How's North Hauser coming?
Mr. Mayor, I think that would be a question for you.
North Hauser or Ballard?
Hauser, the, a line at the stop sign.
Oh, I'm thinking that was Villard, sorry. I know it's not gonna happen today, but with a high level of certainty. The water project they've been fighting to get done before it's closed. I do know it's still on his list.
Has it moved up any?
The projects that are in front of it are still there, but one of them has a cutover today. So that's affecting a third of town, and so I know that's gonna be higher priority than the stop line there.
Do the-
So it is still on the list, that stop line is still happening. But I'm not dictating, drop everything else and go do that. And that's, I think that's in line with the conversations we've had before, that some of the things we've been able to address and some of them are just there with the timing, so. It has not been forgotten and lost.
Just with the advent of snow coming up, there,
It may, and I said, it may still get done, but like I said, there are a couple of major water projects. We keep our public works department very, very busy and very active, so. As the construction season slows down, then we have extra time there.
I noticed in the, packet for tonight, we had been given a list of questions for the airport safety presentation, and written responses were requested, and I saw that I believe the mayor did a response to those.
I just had one that
Or
I added.
drafted some.
Yeah, I just had one, and I've actually had some others that have been sent in that we'll get hard copies for you for tonight,
As well.
and then they'll be in the next.
It's not on the agenda tonight, is it, though?
No,
Okay.
it's just packet stuff.
Yeah, it was in the packet, so, and I appreciated Jeff giving us the, presentation on the grass runways and such. And, if there's nothing else, I'm just gonna
No,
adjourn.
no, you're not, because I got things to say.
Okay. I tried, okay? I tried.
Is there any, thing to report about signs for Highway 78? Last I talked to you, texted you, you said you were gonna call MDT. Has that been happening?
Actually, FAA and those calls are in, and they were not open yesterday, so I was not able to I do not have a response yet back. But in doing those research on that, I found like 3 different signs and 3 different approaches, and so I reached out to the FAA to get what their recommendations were. if it's landing or, and there's green, there's a yellow triangle, there's like 3 different variations, and so I've reached out to them to say, what is the recommendation, how do we handle this? I do not have a response to that
Okay,
from them
just
yet.
wanted to know how that was moving along.
Yep.
Okay, this is in the packet for tonight about the rural fire district. I'm just wondering, we talked about this 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks, not 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, and now we're, going to vote on a resolution of the city of Red Lodge to prepare a petition for annexation into the rural fire district. I'm just
So to
curious.
be clear, we're not voting on it tonight, it's a discussion.
Okay,
The discussion at the last meeting was that we were gonna have the city attorney put together a resolution to start
So-
to get that
so
out there.
Dennison wrote this?
Yes,
Okay.
and it's actually the second of a couple he wrote. The first one he did was for second-class city and sending it to the vote and everything else, and so back, it's like, this is not what matches the presentation you gave us, and so we got that one in just to get the conversation going.
Okay, that's great, good. I'm just concerned, I just wanna say that I'm concerned about this only because I'm not conversant on this yet. And I wanna be conversant when we do get around to voting on it, because it's maybe controversial, it's confusing, and I just wanna be, and then there's a word, I read it this morning, it's there. Shoot. Well, anyway, the word is even after, and even to me means you're treating me this way even after I drove you to Billings at 4 o'clock in the morning. The word even means it's an emphasis that I don't think is necessary in a resolution. And it's here, I read it this morning,
Okay.
it was early,
I remember reading that too, it was like after the vote.
And we
After
presented-
the vote, we can still shoot it down or something
yeah, of
like that, or
something,
we
but
can
the word
still
even
change
to
it.
me needs to be discussed or taken out.
And that's why we had him put that together, so.
Okay, but it seems to me a meaningless point of emphasis to me. I just, even after I did all this for you, and you still treat me this way. Okay, and the other thing is about last week, I'm just curious how, the fiber optic thing affected, 911 in the hospital. Does anybody have any information on that? I realized it was a critical, event for them, and I was wondering if I had any information for
I hadn't heard anything.
My understanding is I'd heard, but it was secondhand, I have not verified it firsthand, but I had heard that dispatch was impacted, but I don't know.
in the hospital.
Yeah, I don't know what well, the hospital would have been from the network side, so I don't know what those impacts were, but I can do some additional follow-up. I can offer some insight as to what happened. So this was the, cast iron or lead line under Lions Park that they were swapping out and replacing. They called and did all the utility marking. They came and they marked 4 fiber optic lines. Turns out there was more than 4. So after they carefully found the other 4 and said we're good, they kept digging and they did hit that. They worked throughout the night to get that because there was it was the main fiber for, Charter, that Charter and other carriers lease traffic over that. We had internet here fine, so I can't tell you why some folks did and some folks didn't. But they worked on it through the night, and at this point, I imagine there's going to be a conversation with dollar signs that happens between Charter is gonna probably reach out to the contractor to mitigate their damages. The contractor in turn will reach out to the company that came out and did the marking of the utilities. Some of that will have been Charter's own folks, so I anticipate there's probably gonna be a lot of discussions with comments in them that happen behind the scenes. But the city is not implicated and is not gonna be
Yeah, I understand
at
that.
risk for any of that.
Someone explained to me that backhoe work is not surgical work. Accidents happen, and it happens a lot here, it
Well,
seems like.
Sometimes those guys are somewhat surgical, but if they're not expecting something to be there and they're not looking for it, it certainly.
Yeah. I'm not
certainly
faulting
has that
anybody,
capacity.
it's just, The more information we have about stuff like that, the better. And I found my even,
I did too,
second paragraph,
in the whereas.
Montana
In the whereas.
MCA holds that even after the necessary ownership has agreed to be annexed. And I'm just taking, exception to the word even. That's all.
What's the rest of the sentence? Yeah, in the
That
second
was the
paragraph.
even I found as well.
So, it's just no big deal, but it seems
Well,
odd.
and that's
Seems
why we
odd.
asked him for a draft to get out there, so you can start looking it over and start putting forth your suggestions, so
So-
thank you.
But mercifully, I don't have any more questions.
To give you an idea, with the annexation into the rural fire department would eliminate, the city having to pay the fire department a certain number of mills. So that's the concept. But we have to get approval of the voters because it would raise their taxes,
Right.
so.
And that's what I want to
So
be
a
conversant on.
clarification on that, it is not an approval of the voters, it is 40% of the property owners with 40% of the value, so it has to check both of those boxes that goes through there. The process, there's not a process to send it directly to the voters. So there's a couple things that are about it. From a city perspective, we're not trying to continue to pay for increasing services in bulk without a corresponding increase in the income. The second thing, is actually the reason I'm behind it, is it eliminates the city as a conversation piece between the fire district and the taxpayers. So if the fire district says they need more money, they go make their case directly to the voters, rather than just giving us a big bill and putting us in the position of having to make their case to the voters.
Well, like I say, I want a lot more information, you know?
Have there been meetings on it?
Pardon?
Have there been additional meetings in between
There
council meetings?
there was, well, there have not been additional, since the last meeting we had, and I think it was part of admin and finance, where the commitment was, I'll have them put together a resolution and bring it forth to start having questions and conversations. So the goal is to basically move the ball. This has started several times in the past and just hasn't gone anywhere. So the purpose of getting a resolution out here was to start moving the ball.
And I was I'm in the admin and finance, and I was actually surprised that Tom Coons was for this.
Yeah.
I assumed he would not be, but I was wrong.
I will add that there's an additional, when I was on council, I went and asked him, he didn't have an opinion one way or the other, because he was getting his mills. I think he's in favor of it too, because he wants to be able to go directly to the voters as they need more money and income. There was one additional thing that came up that he's still pursuing and following up, but there's some retirement benefit or something that they offer for the volunteers, and he had somebody with the state that was down here and said, you realize if you let municipalities in, benefit X goes away or something. And I don't know that that's true, and they already have other municipalities that are in, so I don't know. That was just something that he raised that was a new issue, so.
Well, I asked that question, the only town that they suggested I look into was Bear Creek. But there's gotta be other towns in the state have done.
Oh,
yeah.
Bear Creek is in our specific fire district.
Yeah, but
There are lots of them that
Yeah.
do what we do.
Well, anyway,
Bridger, interestingly enough, Bridger still works on the model that we had in place 20 or 30 years ago, where they have their own city volunteer department, and in addition to they're in a different fire district over there than we are. But there's a concern first off, the city is getting off really, really good. So it's 2% of their budget as opposed to 11% of ours. But they're also not paying for the services. So the city's thrilled, they're getting a great deal. But what happens is they're providing the building, they have some of the equipment, but people just show up and they require people on that volunteer department to also be part of the fire district. And so people show up, it's kind of the same thing here. It's like everybody shows up, but which hat do they put on and which coat? Literally, they had different equipment to wear. And that was when we kind of merged 20 plus years ago. That was kind of the logic there. So I think Bridgers is going to end up changing, because the short version is Bridgers kind of getting it for free right now.
well, that's all the only questions I had.
I just want to ask about the Boys and Girls Club Children's Center area. I don't know if we have any plans or any ideas.
I know that
Let's follow through with that.
Public Works and Police, sat down and talked about it. I know that at this point in time, there was a decision not to shut down and block roads. There was a request from Public Works that they do some stiffer enforcement and basically the request is, we don't say write more tickets. What we say is, make this problem go away. Similar with White, we don't say go out and write tickets. What we say is, we need people not to be running the stop sign and speeding through there. And then that translates to them taking the appropriate actions to make that happen.
Figure it out.
I think Grant, the new director, Grant was here, and I think he said the little things in the street were more effective than anything, except that they get run over.
Except that they get run over.
Yeah.
And there was a discussion
Maybe we need
with
bigger
the
ones.
chief and Grant about redirecting their cameras to those. Ron, do you?
As far as the little guys that get run over, if you go observe, they park cars on each side of that intersection, right up to the corner. And they put the little man in the middle on the line,
Oh.
right? Go drive a larger profile vehicle through there, you can't do it. So where he's gonna get out, move the little man, go past it, get out, put him back. You're
But
gonna
that
run over
slows down traffic if you stop and,
So does a four-way stop.
I know.
And there's a four-way stop right there too, but, so it paints a more dramatic picture than is actually valid. Because if you look at the amount of room for a vehicle to maneuver, especially a turning vehicle, maneuver that intersection on the north side, when they park cars right up to the corner, there's not enough room to have that little guy out in the middle of the road and not get run over.
Okay, well,
So, to me, it's been over dramatic about the little man getting run over. I think you need to be more observant of the overall picture. And to slow traffic down between, where the park's at, put two more stop signs at the other end of the park on the south end, at that intersection by the skate park. And I have two four-way stops. That should help with the vehicles approaching from the south to the north that have nothing to slow them down in between. Now you're
then they'll go
stopping
to
cars,
Oaks. Make it inconvenient and they'll go over to Oaks.
make it go to other
Got
places.
it.
But the little man is being over dramatic just because if you really observe what's going on there, it make it hard for cars to get through.
Yeah.
I run into the same problem at the school. I have a small car, tiny car, and they put the, I don't know, little yellow sign in the middle of it, and I've seen cars have to go the wrong way because they can't make it maneuver going the right direction, so they go around it the wrong way into oncoming traffic. So, and there are no cars even parked on the side. It's just where it is in the middle. You can't get around even with a small car.
And it
So
may be with an
it's
extra
caused
officer
some
that's
problems.
specifically dedicated to the youth in the schools, we may be able to get a little more coverage out there too.
Thanks for
Oh,
coming.
good idea.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
When a little man is beating the line, and I will stop maligning the little man.
But he lost his flag.
That's right.
It is 8:44, so I think we're gonna adjourn unless anybody has
Nope,
anything else.
nope.
Thank
Thank you all.
for coming. Appreciate that.
Hi, Sandy.
Thanks for keeping us on track, man.
I got
We got